On the twists and turns in Puerto Rico politics, I'm joined by public policy and communications strategist Gretchen Sierra-Zorita. Gretchen, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
Man, this is a mess. Let's just take a holistic look at everything right now. Lawsuits, allegations of, in essence, a peaceful coup. Pierre Luisi is indicating he will move forward and hope that the Senate and the lawsuit move in his favor. Okay, what's going to happen if that does not happen?
What if it does not move forward? Well, we stand right now. Today, the Senate. Let's back up a little. On Friday, the House confirmed him as Secretary of Secretary of State, which then allowed him to be sworn in as governor later that afternoon. This, however, happened without the consent of the Senate. So today, they held a session to vote him in as Secretary of State, which is kind of ridiculous because he's already sworn himself as governor. And when they got to that point, clearly the votes were not there to stop him from being confirmed as Secretary of State. The leader of the Senate in Puerto Rico, Tommy Rivera Chats, has aspirations to be governor himself. Right. So this is all a maneuvering to block Pedro Pierluisi from becoming, so that there's a route for Tommy Rivera Chats to get there. And the route is, if the Supreme Court decides that no, this is not a valid governorship, that Pedro Pierluisi cannot assume the governorship, it goes to the Secretary of Justice, who is under allegations of corruption herself, but is a team player. And so the idea is, we don't know what people are surmising. This is all, in people's imagination, that the Senate leader will be able to ask her she can nominate the Senate leader to be Secretary of State and then step down, and then the whole thing happens. So that's one of the many scenarios.
It's never a good time for a political crisis, but considering how dearly Puerto Rico needs to work with the United States and implement funds to recover from Hurricane Maria, what does this do to the island right now? Well,
before we do it to the island, what does it do to the people? This whole protest movement was a call from the people for an honest government, for integrity, for leaders without a past, without records, without entanglements. This has been turned into a party primary, and both people who are interested in this position have records and have histories and have a past that needs to be that cannot be surmounted. So the will of the people has completely been ignored. But in terms of the actual impact, it's twofold. We're in the middle of the crisis, and we have to deal first with Mr. Trump, who has been withholding funds even before this whole thing started, who has accused Puerto Rican politicians of corruption in the past, and now we have given him confirmation.
Exactly.
So it's slowed down to a trickle.
Now, Rosell was basically dragged from office. It took him a long time to leave. Do you see the kind of passion building up that if this situation currently is not resolved, if there's not a new governor put in place soon, could the people return to the streets and say, we are not done by a long shot?
They could, but the strategy here is to tire them out, okay? And it's going to be easier to tire them out once the school year begins, because a lot of the people in the protests are the students, and which are free at this time of the year. So I think that's exactly the strategy, to tire them out. But people are doing very interesting things. Something that's been happening since last week is people are holding town assemblies on their own. And they're just having town assemblies to decide what is it that we want and what is it that we want to ask. This has never been done in Puerto Rico. People, have these organic assemblies, and they go and they record them and so forth.
I want to talk about Pierre Luisi's background. Unsuccessful bid for governor in 2016.
Right.
Since then, he's been a practicing attorney.
Right.
But he is also the individual who took part in the unpopular fiscal watchdog effort over Puerto Rico.
Right.
Did that win him any points with the people of the island?
Well, that basically is the key point of contention with him. I mean, Pierre Luisi is a very capable guy. He was representative to Congress for Puerto Rico for 8 years. He was former Secretary of Justice. He's an experienced lawyer and so forth. But he was responsible, as were many other people, to be honest, for the creation of Promesa, which was something that was instituted at the time as a precondition to having a restructuring of the debt. You could not have a restructuring of the debt without the fiscal board. And so this law was put together. He is being chastised for his role in that, but frankly, that is the role that a lot of people played, not just him.
Quickly now, what do you see happening forward? What is it going to take to right the ship, to find a governor, and to appease the people?
I don't think we can right the ship just yet, because it is clear that the people in power have not heard the people. We had demonstrations for weeks. One of them was over 1 million strong. That's a third of Puerto Rico's population on the street on one day. And still, they held what's really a party primary. This is what's going on here. And so I don't think we're ready for change. Whoever they nominate will be there to the next election, and then will be partly swept up because what's happened, but I don't think we're there yet. There's a lot of talk of establishing, I just, somebody suggested today, a corruption office within Puerto Rico or other mechanisms. So there's definitely a will and ideas, but the people in power have not heard the people on the street and have made a whole travesty of what was a joyous, exercise of democracy.
Gretchen, thank you very much. With this going on, I'm sure we'll have you back again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.